first and foremost, I want to thank you for stopping by. It's definitely an honor.
I appreciate you having me.
Oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt. We're gonna get right into it. For the viewers who may not recognize you, let them know what your name is and definitely where you're from.
So my name is Reese. Some people call me your vet Reese, but I'm from Trenton, New Jersey.
That's what's up. Big shout out to Jersey. So yeah, I guess my first question is, if you can kind of take us back to, who you are and what life was like growing up for you in Jersey.
All right, so Trenton, New Jersey is basically the hood. Just to keep it real. so I had a regular childhood that I thought I had a regular childhood because growing up it wasn't really that bad. Had a mom, had a dad. My dad was always in and out of jail, but mom, she always stepped up and just did what she could. We was on Section 8, got food stamps, stuff like that. But growing up, I seen that life wasn't normal as I went through life. Because starting out, it was a lot of violence growing up. I seen a lot friends dying and stuff like that. School didn't have a good education. Um, it was a lot of traumatic stuff that I seen, but it didn't bother me because it was all I knew. So, just like for example, some of the things I've been through. I've been hospitalized by police officers. Seeing friends in front of me, get shot. I've been shot at multiple times, just living in a wrong, area. But I always was like a popular guy. I was quiet. I was a fighter. My dad, he known for fighting and stuff like that. But I always was a good dude. Like when I seen anybody doing everything crazy, I couldn't do it. You know what I mean? Because I always, I stood out in a way. You know what I mean? So I wanted to get away from the hood. So my way to get out was going to the military. I ain't had no idea what the military was gonna give me, but I was destined to go. So it took me about 6 years to get there because I couldn't pass the test because I didn't have a good education. But after 6 years, I finally did it. And after I went to the military, I went off and created a new life.
Okay, okay. I appreciate you sharing that. I mean, you'd be surprised how, so much stuff we go through growing up is not normal, but we normalize it. We in like a survival mode. Because I'm
Facts.
from Cleveland and, Jersey, Cleveland, New Orleans, Detroit, there's a lot of stuff going on all over the country, but we got a lot in common. We was on Section 8 and food
Mhm.
stamps and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Coming from a single parent home. And
Right.
also, the violence, the gun violence, man. Unfortunately, like my friend, he stayed like next door to me. We used to write raps and make music together. He was 15. He
Yeah.
got killed by the police. You know what I'm
Man.
saying? So the
Yeah.
people was dying before we even got grown. The police shot him 10
Or
times. And it's like, we didn't have no counseling. We didn't have no therapy. We didn't have no nothing. We just had to mush on.
Yeah, and it's crazy because, like, around the time when I got hospitalized by 16 police officers, and it's crazy because I ain't even do nothing. I like the thing is I couldn't pass the military test, and so after I kept failing, one time I actually put in work, study for a long time, and I'm like, yeah, I might go celebrate. So I went around my neighborhood, and I think the worst thing that I did was buy alcohol. I went to the liquor store and I had my bottle. I was out there for 5 minutes, and something called the narcs, like gang units. They pulled up in a van and they had guns and everybody ran. So I don't know what even happened. I wasn't even out there, not 5 minutes, but I was going to stand there because it's like everybody just ran. So I ran too, and out of all people, they was chasing me. So I hopped in my friend backyard, and in front of me was the highway, and behind me was all the cops chasing me. You know what I mean? So I could pick where I wanted to go. So I turned around. I chose the cops. I'm like, yo, what are y'all chasing me for? Because I kind of was lost. And then, they clotheslined me, pepper sprayed, and I'm like yelling, I'm down. So I'm down, I'm down. And they just said, stop resisting. They did what they did. So, I went to like a little dream, like, yo, they actually do this to people. And they always did little snake stuff. But when I experienced that, I didn't even feel the pain. I was just in a dream. I'm like, yo, this really happened. So yeah, man, that hood life is definitely different, man.
Yeah, yeah, that's another aspect of it too. The racism, you got the systematic racism that just corner us into the hood and affect every aspect of our life, and then it's like we can't even do normal activities like
Hmm.
even in New York and other cities, Cleveland, you just walk down the street and the police can jump out, pull your pants down, hit you in the
Yeah.
back of the head, slam you on
Mm.
the ground, and the best thing they could tell you is, all right, get the fuck out of here.
Word.
Like you just traumatized. And
Hmm.
they don't even just do it to men; they do it to women, they do it to kids. We was
It was
teenagers.
normal. It was normal. I didn't even know that it wasn't supposed to be normal until I got away and came back. What I mean? I'm looking like
Yeah,
I was a different person. I'm like, yeah, I wish you would. You know what I mean? I'm like, it was crazy. It was a crazy journey.
yeah, yeah. And I travel a lot. I'm a world traveler. I've been in like 70 countries, so
Word?
it's
Oh,
not the way the police treat us here is different than a lot of places. I mean, if you're gonna compare it to the worst countries, then maybe it don't look so bad. But you go to a place like Amsterdam or
mm,
Ghana,
mm,
places they got a 2-3 times lower gun violence rate and murder rate and stuff like that. It's like all of their police don't even carry guns. They
mm,
don't even approach
mhm.
citizens like they come to our house. Like, say if your music too loud or something, or say if your son, have a mental illness or something, they'll send the same police officer to your house, no matter what the cause is. If he robbing the bank or if somebody just got shot, he'll have a gun, he'll have a vest on, he'll call for backup. But like
Mhm.
out there, it's just like some of they police, they just got like a walkie-talkie or a stick. They not even coming like that. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, I've
you
seen it. I
running
lived
right
overseas too. Hmm.
and that's how I be, man. It's crazy. Um, Now I can ask you this. Now, what inspired you to write "The War Within," and what does the title mean to you?
So, what inspired me to write the war within is basically like throughout life, I always was fighting something, but I never showed it on the outside. You know what I mean? So growing up in the hood, I always had a smile on my face. Going in different environments, always had a smile on my face. But something to come out when I get drunk. You know what I mean? Like I used to drink a lot, and that's how I used to cope. And throughout even like right now I'm 35. I kind of think it been my entire life, besides the last couple of years. So I wrote the war within just to show people the process of what it looks like, no matter where you come from. Also showing that you gotta lose sometimes in life in order to win. You gotta fail. And basically, my book it talks about how many times I lost. I fell over and over and over until I won. So I did retire at 28 years old, and I had PTSD pretty bad, and I don't feel like people probably thought, oh man, you so young, man, you living good, but at the whole time I was in a place where I almost took my life. So I just basically wanted to show people that I wanted to be vulnerable. I wanted to, like, as men, we can't really talk about, or we don't talk about, what we going through in real life, or we scared you know, to look a certain way. So I wrote the book just to be vulnerable, just to show somebody else that it's all right, what I mean, no matter what you're going through, and to be vulnerable. And since people look up to me, so I figured if I, put my story into it, maybe it have an impact on somebody. You know?
Yeah, yeah, definitely have an impact. I mean, just for you even sharing it verbally, you know what I'm saying? is courageous, but for you to sit down and actually write your thoughts out, you know, that's dope. Now I can ask you, in the process of writing a book, was it a difficult process, or was it like, more like of a relief, or a
So to
little
be
bit of
honest,
both?
I'm sorry, my bad. What's the last part you said?
Or was it kind of like, fluctuating? Was it like up and down, a little bit of both?
So to be honest, right, I never really thought about writing a book. Once I came home in two. I'm sorry, somebody called me. All right, okay, cool. Yeah, so in 2018, I came home, and man, when I came home, so much was going on in my mind, so much was going on around me, and I was struggling. You know what I mean? I was going through things that I never even been through. Even like when I was in the military, I was going through stuff, but when I got back home, if I couldn't see who was inside of a car, my heart pounding. I couldn't go outside. You know what I mean? Like I was sleeping with weapons. It was just it was something going crazy. So as time went on, bad things just kept happening. So I started like just journaling. You know what I mean? Putting certain things down. Um, and I just want to mention something because it kind of like tie into it. So I was so messed up in my mind. I wouldn't be around family or friends. And I have two brothers and a sister. My younger brother, me and him was so cool, so tight, but I couldn't even be around him. And long story short, he passed while I was home, and he was like 15 minutes away from me. You know what I mean? So it tore me up. Went into a real dark depression, drinking again, and I went to his son's birthday party one time, and I seen my now wife. We went to school together, but I'm like, "What you doing here?" You know what I mean? She's like, "What you doing here?" It's my cousin's birthday party. And I'm like, "Oh," I'm thinking like, "Oh, we ain't cousins." But long story short, me and her, we started talking, and she's like, "Oh, Elijah was your brother, this, that, and the third." And once me and my wife got together, she started seeing what I was going through, and she talked about like a book. But I'm like, I can't write. You know what I mean? I still can't even write perfect sentences. I don't know punctuations and stuff like that. So what I thought about doing was getting a ghostwriter. You know what I mean? When my wife said, you should write your story down or, get it out there. So initially what I did was I hired a ghostwriter, told the lady my story, and expected her to put it in the book form. Once I got the book back and when we had our sessions, I don't know whose story it was. It wasn't mine. It just, it wasn't, a lot needed changing. So once we got the book, me and my wife basically redid the book. You know what I mean? It was created, but none was right. So my wife, she's smart, got a master's degree, and she helped me with it. So we took months on revising, editing everything, and once we did it, we sent it back. And it was a long process, but it was challenging because certain things I'm like I don't even want to put that in there, and then I was like, oh man, I don't want to offend nobody, and I was still going through like I wasn't like I wasn't cured. And I ain't saying I'm all the way good now, but I'm like, I was struggling writing a book. You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't want people to think about me in this type of light. And I don't want to put, family, friends in it. Like, how should I write it? So we just took our time. And once it was done, we submitted it back. And it finally got done. But it was a long process. Something that was supposed to take a year probably took about 2 years, 2 years and some change.
Wow. Okay. Okay. But I mean, it's worth it though. You put the work in. You know what I'm saying? That's an experience that can last you a lifetime. Even when you're not here no more, you
Right.
just don't know how many seeds you might have planted. Even if it's just one person, you know what I'm saying? And they may read your story, and you never know. It's like some people might write a book, and then it might turn into a movie, a documentary, a TV
Right.
series, or something. You feel me?
Yeah. The crazy thing is, I didn't really think nobody would read it, but like it's on Amazon, but I already got like a digital copies. And Amazon review was five stars, and you know what I mean. Like when I read it, you know what I mean. I got emotional because I'm looking like, yo, people really rocking with it, and everybody reached out to me, and they talked good about it. But to be honest, I was kind of insecure putting it out because I'm looking like, what I mean. A lot of it is personal, but it was a bigger, it was a bigger mission. So I was like, what I mean, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Well, and this is one thing that I start living by. I'm like, yo, in the darkest times, in my darkest moments, there was nobody there. You know what I mean? Everybody was gone. Friends, family, nobody was there. So I stopped moving about, you know what I mean, like when it comes to how people feel. Because I'm looking like I could have took my life and nobody wasn't there. You know what I mean? So now I move like I don't really care what nobody think. And even though, I still be scared, like even like, doing this podcast, whatever, I was nervous, you know what I mean? I still got anxiety, you know what I mean? But I'm like, man, it's always a bigger purpose. And in life I was always scared to do something, but I did it anyway. I just had to get the I got had to build myself up to do it. But after I did it, it always worked out in my favor. So I'm looking like, man, I don't care what it is. I get over myself, and I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, yeah, I could relate, man. Some of my biggest life changing moments was when I overcame my fear. Because, like I said, I'm a world traveler. I'm in 70 countries, but I used to be scared of airplanes. I wouldn't ride no airplane for nothing. I used to take the bus everywhere. I
Mm-hmm.
take the bus. One time I took the bus from Miami to Seattle. I was like on the bus for a week. If I could have took a airplane, been there like 4 hours.
Word, for real.
So I had to overcome that to become, a world traveler. Now I can ask you this. Um, Now, what does the shed represent, and why did you create a space like that for others?
So the shed was something where I had like put a shed in the backyard, and I basically just started talking about different topics. But what I wanted it to be about is just like basically be for black men, and it was just a place where you could come and just be yourself. You know what I mean? Be your authentic self, and not really, a space that, I mean, I don't really see too many spaces like that, and where you could talk about your problems. Because when I look back all those times when I've been through all that crazy stuff, I'm like, man, I just needed somebody. You know what I mean? I'm like, I just wish that somebody was there. So I made the shed because it's kind of like shedding the old layers of yourself, and like, I mean, going through a process of coming in as who you are and then leaving as the best version of yourself. And I'm still working on mine, but every day I just went in the shed and just started giving messages, or I started like just talking to people in the shed, and it just became a thing. You know what I mean? People like, hey, Reese, I see you in the shed. So now I'll be getting in the shed, and I'll be like, it's your vet Reese. We're in the shed. It's about to go down. Let's talk. You know what I mean? So every day I just started getting in the shed, and we just started talking. But it's basically for a safe space, and it don't matter like who you are, what you do. And even though it's for black men, it's open to anybody. I just had a target audience of black men because that was basically like who I was. So it's basically just a place to come in, shed old layers. You know what I mean? So that's what the shed was about.
Yeah, yeah, that's dope, man. That's dope for real, for real. Because I mean, you doing it from the comfort of your community, and like you say, you got your target audience, but it's a safe space for people.
Hmm.
I was thinking about doing something like that. I was trying to do it with the mental health group,
Yeah,
like get a natural space. Like it's almost like 150,000 people in the group. So I
yeah,
was thinking like if each person just put in $1, we could get like 3, 4 acres, and where it's
yeah,
like a river or a lake or a creek or something. We could fish, we could
yeah,
kayak, we could grow fruits and vegetables. We could start a
man,
beehive. We could have chickens. You know what I'm saying?
perfect,
We could pray, meditate, exercise,
man.
do martial arts, have conversations. Like we in the barber shop or something. And that'll just be a place where we can all be neutral and just come from wherever we come from in the world. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I love that, man. I don't even know why you're saying that. I mean, just chills going through my body. It's crazy, man, that you said that because if you want to, well, we could talk, but I just like it ain't open yet, but I created something called the War Within Community, and it's basically like something that I opened up on like school, and I'm basically putting tools in there like first my book, like a guide to healing. I made like a AI therapist bot. You know what I mean? Because I be seeing people in the group. I love your group, by the way. And I be seeing people saying like, I just need somebody to talk to. I need this. So this ain't like no AI bot where it sound like a robot. It's somebody who can really give you real. It's a whole bunch of stuff for black men. And if you want to, be a part of it, or like, what I mean, we could talk about that because I love what you do. You know what I mean? And I just, I just want to help people. You know what I mean? So if you want, we could come together and we could create something if that's something that you want to do.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be dope. And then that's what I'm saying. Like you say, the shed or the land I'm talking about, wherever it's at. Once we all kind of conversate, you come with an idea, this person come with an idea, because we all going through the same thing, but we just got, a different perspective. We looking at the same picture. We got the same objective to heal and get better. And we could just teach each other and learn so much and trade ideas. You know what I'm saying? Even if we disperse and go back to our own communities. I might
Absolutely.
create a shed out here or something.
Man, word, for real.
We
And
could
it's crazy
definitely
because,
let out. Mhm.
I became like after I got the military through all this crazy stuff, I became a real estate investor and I became a digital marketer. I started learning how to use other people's money to get property, and I'm a landlord. And it's man, when I say I never even lived in a house my entire life, and I never thought I could do any of it. I started meeting the right people, you know what I mean, and it changed my life. And I just been investing in knowledge, and I've been in like a dark place. And I just been like trying to become something else, and I kind of transformed myself, you know what I mean? And all the stuff that I learned over the years, even like in this Worthing community, first is about healing. You know what I mean? Getting our mind right because everybody just want to win. But man, we got to worry about the stuff that's inside of us because if you don't cure that, man, money don't make you happy. I had like a couple dollars, money, whatever, and it ain't make me happy. So I was like, damn, my whole life I was chasing money and money ain't do it. So it's the healing. We could, we're gonna talk about everything, but it's the healing first. But yeah, man.
Yeah, you're right, bro. Because, like you say, we grow up poor and without, so we just think, man, as soon as I get this bag, everything gonna be all right. But ultimately, if somebody give you $1 billion right now, is that gonna stop your husband from cheating on you, or is that gonna change the relationship that you have with your mom, or is that gonna
Word.
get your dad off drugs, or is that gonna
Mhm.
bring back your brother? Just different situations. Well, for all of us in general, I'm saying, but we
Mhm.
just think like, dang, once I get this money, but like you say, we got to start the healing process, and it's a battle, man. It's a struggle. It ain't easy. It might
It
take
is.
years, but I feel like when we kids, for whatever reason, I ain't gonna say for whatever reason, but they just don't teach us about this mental health component of life. You might learn the physical, like, oh, you gotta work out, you gotta be in shape, or you
Yeah.
gotta eat good food, or even some families like you gotta go to the church or go to the mosque
Mhm.
or you pray or whatever. But you don't, especially back in the day, more so now, but like, man, you're gonna go through a depression, or this is stress, or this is anxiety, or this how
Yeah.
you deal with it, and watch
Yes.
out for this. You don't get no info. You just
At all.
walk into it.
Back in the day, when I used to see people who was like, I know now it's mental health, but just say people who grown up in the hood and seeing them all messed up, the only thing we thought was, hey man, somebody slipped them a Mickey. To this day, I'm like, I don't even know what a Mickey is, but that's all we said. You know what I mean? Somebody slipped them a Mickey, man, he out of it. Man, people was dealing with demons, mental health, all type of stuff, and it's like we just growing up saying, somebody slipped somebody a Mickey, and it's crazy because it's like we man, we be lost because we don't know. We don't learn this in school. Parents don't, you know what I mean? So it's like, how do you navigate that when something start happening? And I'm like, man, people need to know because man, that thing almost tore me up. You know what I mean? It tore me up, but it almost took me out. So I gotta let people know, about mental health. 'Cause this thing's serious for real.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like you don't know till you in it. I mean, you might be going through it, but once it start coming out, and then like you say, so many of them old school people, they didn't know how to explain it. They just like somebody slipped them a Mickey. It's almost like I don't know, like an urban legend or something. Like they was at a bar and somebody put something in their drink. I guess I don't know.
For real. For real.
That's crazy. Now let me see. Now how do you feel like your military impact? How do you feel like the military impacted? your mental health and in terms of how you see the world today.
So, all right, and it's something that I never ever. I wrote this in my book, but I never really, talked about it out loud. It was a situation that happened in the military that put me in a bad mental spot, and I'll discuss it. So, when I went to my a duty station in Texas, it's basically a process when you got to end process and just go through like 2 weeks worth of basically signing on to that base, basically. So I met a couple of like younger soldiers, and they looked up to me because they was new, and they were just like, "Hey, Bell, that's my last name." They're like, "Can you can I follow you throughout this process?" So I'm like, "Yeah." There's about six of them throughout the process. Every day I told them to meet me here. Just basically help them out. It was guidance. It was one person, one girl specifically, and she was like, "Yo, after the end process was over, she was like, can I stay in touch with you?" I'm like, "Yeah, no doubt." You know, so throughout the year, she's been like telling me she was going through things. Oh man, they hate me over here. Oh, I don't like the military. Oh, Bell, one day can we just hang out? So I was in like a infantry unit in Texas, and I was just like, yeah, when I get free, we could. But I worked so much. It been a year, and I never seen her that entire year. So one day I was injured, and we had went off to like the field, basically like a training. She reached out to me and was like, "Hey, Bell, I'm not on this training with my team." She was like, "What you doing?" I said, "Yeah, my team on the training too, and I ain't there." So she's like, "Can we hang out?" So I'm like, "Oh yeah, no doubt." I never looked at her no type of way at all, just as a soldier or a friend or like somebody that was a little younger soldier and coming up in the ranks. So long story short, she came over. I went to go get her. I mean, she didn't have a car. So I went to go get her, and when she got in the car, um, you know, it was just cool. We was about to go eat. I was told I was gonna make some Mexican food. She's a Mexican. She got to my something called barracks. It's like where I live at. So she was like, "Can I call my boyfriend?" So at first I didn't know why she asked me that, but I'm like, "Yeah, go ahead." You know what I mean? Yeah, sure. So she basically was like, "Hey, I'm just hanging out with Belle." And then he was like, "Oh, what are y'all gonna do?" She's just like, "Oh, make some food, whatever." They hung up. He texted her and was like, "Don't lead them on." And because she told me, she was like, "My boyfriend said, don't lead you on." I didn't really catch it. I was like, "Oh, okay." Like in my head, like, why she say that? So, we got to like inside the barracks. I made food, made like, some drinks. I did drink. We had one drink, had food, and it was over. It was watching movies. She was like, "Oh, can I have another drink? It's my birthday tomorrow." We watched another movie. I started getting tired. I said, "You ready for me to take you back?" And she like, "Nah," she like, "You so old, turn up, Belle." So I'm like, "Oh, now I'm good." So long story short, we watched another movie. I started going to sleep, and I'm like, "Yo, I'm about to call you an Uber." And she was like, "Nah, I just lay down." So she laid down, but she laid on my lap, and she did start, pulling down my clothes, and she had gave me oral, right? So then we end up having intercourse. When she was done, we went to sleep. Like an hour later, I heard my door open. So I said, "Yo, let me get you an Uber. Don't walk home." And she like, "Oh no, my ride outside." So I said, "Oh, her ride outside. She got a ride. Okay, cool." So she texted me this. "I got a boyfriend. Ha ha ha." So I'm like, I ain't say nothing. I was just like, okay, now she probably feel bad. Next morning, she hit me with three messages. "Belle, I don't trust you no more. I don't. I never wanted to have sex, and I love my boyfriend very much." So I looked at it. I said, "Man, she seemed like she trying to set me up." So I said, "Man, that's just me having my hood mentality. Let me take my antennas down." And I just responded regular. I said, "Well, to be honest, I never wanted to have sex. I look at you as a little sister." And I was like, the only thing we no, I said something like, "I never looked at you like that. You're just like a little sister." And I apologize if you didn't want it. And I said, you gave me oral when I thought that was, I thought that was it. So she was like, "Only thing we could do now is move on." So I agreed to it. I agreed. She said, "Can I tell my boyfriend to call you?" So I'm like, "Oh wow, she done told her boyfriend already." So I said, "Cool." So he called me, and he was just like, "Hey Belle, so what happened? Did you come on to her? Did she come on to you?" And I was like, "To be honest, she came on to me," and I told her what she did. And he was like, "Oh, okay, man, thanks, brother." So I thought everything was over. The next day, I got a call over the weekend from one of my sergeants, and he was like, "Hey, Bill, I need you." But it was like a Sunday, and I'm looking like, I'm off base. He said, "Oh, it won't take long. I just need you at the office to help me with something." So I'm thinking in my head, like, ain't nobody else who can help you out. I drove back to base, and I got in his car, but work is across the street. We getting in the car, so he trying to keep my mind off asking where we going. He talking to me, and I don't even like this sergeant like that. So I'm like, something going on. So he was like, I like, where we going? He's like, we just need to go talk to some people. He basically drove me to something called CID, Criminal Investigation Division. She said that I raped her. So I had problems with cops already in the hood. I was facing getting kicked out of the military, becoming a rapist, and it was like some other things. So that put me in a crazy situation. They took me to a hospital. They did like a rape kit. They pull my pants down in front of this like police officer. They check me, putting worm lights, seeing if I got scratches on me, see if I was like, I guess she was scratching if I took something. And I ain't do nothing wrong in my head. I know I didn't. So the cop acting like he on my side, and he like, yeah, we did. He like, do you mind if we check your room, so we can get this over with? So I said, yeah, because I ain't had nothing to hide. They checked my room. I go back. It was black marks everywhere. They took my drawers. They took the bottle. My room was destroyed. And then my room door was open. So I'm looking like, yo, everybody probably think now that I done did something crazy. You know what I mean? So nobody on this base ever got away with something like this. I see people get locked up every single day. So anyway, I knew I had to call a lawyer. They told me $20,000 just to look at this case, and I ain't have $20,000. So I just called my mom, and my mom ain't got no money, but I just needed somebody to talk to at the time because I was going through it. You know what I mean? And it took about a year to go through this process. Every day, you know what I mean? I just thought that I was about to get locked up. So anyway, I started drinking a lot, and that's when something triggered in my mind. I started waking up and like cold sweat, like sweat, my whole shirt sweaty. I used to feel somebody pulling my leg. I mean, I woke up to like somebody pulling me. I mean, start seeing people. I started isolating. You know what I mean? And I started like when it's time to go eat lunch, whatever. I kept seeing a girl, even though I never seen a girl. You know what I mean? So I started this. I started tripping out, and they took me away from the job that I was at. It was just a whole bunch of stuff that was going on. So it impacted my mental to the fullest. But even like I got so eventually I did beat the case. A year later, they said that it was a whole setup. They wanted to get out the military and get disability, but she used me as a pawn. So even though I got through it, I went through hell for a year, and then after that, I got medically retired. Um, just because the medicine that I was taking off certain things. But long story short, like I was expecting to do 20 years in the military. When all this stuff was happening, they told me I had to get out. But they're gonna give me I was gonna get medically retired, but it messed me up because now I never wanted to come back to Trenton. What I mean? That was the reason I went away to the military to get away from here. So now I went back to the hood, and I wasn't prepared. So now everything started coming back, all the trauma, and then I went on like deployments and stuff as well. But it just all this stuff to start hitting me at once, and I was out by myself, and a lot happened after that. But it impacted my mental a lot, and I just really didn't know how to take it. To answer your question.
Man, that's wicked, bro. I'm still processing that. I take my hat off to you because that would have broke a lot of people, and you made it through that. And it's just like it's just a shame that you know humans that go that low, just so they can get a check or just so they can get out of a commitment that they made. They willing to destroy another person's life. It's sad, really. And to touch on your point, like again, like I say, I'm a world traveler. Like sometimes when you travel to a new place, you'll get like culture shock where you
Yeah.
just don't understand, or you don't accept, the ways of other places, to the point where you're like, I got to get back home. But then sometimes you have reverse culture shock, where you leave where you from, and then when you come back, it's harder for you than it was when you was there originally, because you can have a different perspective of how you kind of know things is messed up when you living in the hood, but when you leave the hood and then you come back, it's like tenfold. It's like you got like you overstand the problems,
Or
and then, like you say, you come back and it's like, man, this is just too much for some people. So
yeah.
definitely feel that. Let me see. Now I can ask you about this. What do you think are some things that people may misunderstand about PTSD and anxiety?
I think a lot of people just don't understand it because they don't know what it is. You know what I mean? Like, and some people think that you probably need to even be in the craziest situation. You done seen hell, all this bloodshed. But to be honest, man, you can get PTSD from anything that's traumatic. You know what I mean? And PTSD is a place where you don't even understand it. You know what I mean? Like, so I had to go to therapy for a long time, and therapy that helped out, started explaining what it was, and that started helping me put things together to make it make sense. Because when things were just happening, I thought I was going crazy, and I was meeting people that was also mentally messed up, but I was trauma bonding, and it was just I felt I couldn't even call, and certain people was like real crazy, but I felt like I couldn't call them crazy because I felt like I was crazy. So when you're dealing with mental health, I think you can't feed it. You gotta, like, I guess, understand it and try to just work towards a solution. But I think you can't do it by yourself. You know what I mean? And people just think it'll go away. Some people, you know what I mean, to be honest, you may have, like, be dealing with it forever, but it's not a thing where you have to deal with the worst parts of it. There is healing in it. You know what I mean? But certain people, they don't, like, they don't think it's like another side to it. You know what I mean? So I think what's misunderstood about it is just basically everything, like what it is. You know what I mean? How to manage it. Just mental health in general. You know what I mean? I don't think like we said earlier, the conversations is not talked about. We don't hear about it in school. So if it happens, it's like, what do you do? You know what I mean? And then where I grew up, whatever happens in this house stays in this house. You know what I mean? So I couldn't really go talk to nobody. I couldn't talk to my brother and my mom. I came home and I was looking at the TV for 30 days and I never turned it on. You know what I mean? My mom started asking me, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, mom, I'm all right." You know what I mean? I didn't want her to worry. So I'm like, "Yo, I'll go outside today." You know what I mean? It was the worst thing ever. I went outside with my cousin and my brother. They went out to a club. When I say it was the craziest thing, I just seen all these people. I went from not being around nobody to being in a club with loud music, people, and I tried to play it off, but I just went to go put my back on the wall, and I just everything was just going crazy up there. So anyway, at a certain point, I had to go to the bathroom. I went to the bathroom. I walked off the wall. Somebody touched me. I thought somebody was attacking me. You know what I mean? So I turned around. I punched the dude. And I used to fight a lot back in the day, and not like just to brag or nothing, but I was a good fighter. This dude, every person I ever hit, they always fail. This dude was so big and he did not fall. He punched me back, and we started fighting. He pulled out a knife and he stabbed me. And my brother and my cousin seen me into the fight, and then we kind of like jumped. We jumped them after that, and it was just I was just yelling like, "This is why I can't." I was just tripping out like, "This is why I don't go outside." But instead of me just talking about what was going on, I just ain't want people to think or feel sorry for me or just, you know what I mean? I did something foolish, but it's hard to understand what nobody understands. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to show people that I was okay, but I wasn't. So I think a lot of times we gotta get educated on it because we could do the wrong things. I used to wake up on the highway not knowing how I got there. I woke up in different places not even knowing how I got there. You know what I mean? I wasn't understanding what was going on, but I was just in pain. I was hurting. So I think we just need to educate ourselves and get certain tools. And that's why, when I told you about that war within community, I'm like, for the people who don't know much about it or this thing is the end, you know what I mean? It ain't. And I just want to put that information out there so nobody had to go through what I've been through.
Yeah, man, that's real talk. That's real talk, and it's like it's ironic because I could be wrong, but I think everybody have mental health issues. It's like anything else. Everybody can get the flu. Everybody can get sick and throw up. We human. You know what I'm saying? And we might have different, as some people depression, some people anxiety, some people a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But it's like if you go to the gym and you lift weights, you got to keep doing that. You got to maintain. You got to work for that. To get all cut up and ripped up. And
Yeah.
bodybuilders, they didn't just go to the gym one time. So it's like
Right.
they go to the gym every day or 2 or 3 times a week or whatever. It's like your
Mhm.
mental health. You got to be on it just like that.
Yeah. Gotta be
Somebody go to
disciplined.
church. They don't just go one time and get baptized and they done. Or if they pray,
Mhm.
if they go to the mosque, they don't just pray one time. You got to
Yeah.
pray every day. You
Mm.
feel me?
It's a
That's how I
journey.
look at it. Yeah, it's a
Journey.
journey, but
Um,
importantly, like you said, it's some light at the end of the tunnel. So a lot of people, they just so isolated where they don't even see the victories or
mhm.
the healing side of it. So what you're saying is truly truly important for the viewers that's listening.
Thank you. Appreciate that for real.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. I'm learning so much. Now I can ask you this. Now, when did you realize your story could actually help other people? Like that aha moment.
It's crazy because in life, right, I always was in like crazy positions or different positions, uncomfortable positions. And every uncomfortable position, like just say for example, one time my cousin told me to apply for some college that you would get like like something free, like a like 3 month program in some college where the whole entire world is applying for it. So I'm looking like, well, what you think? How you think I'm gonna get it? You know what I mean? So I applied for it and I just told my story. My story was regular to me. I got the scholarship, right? So I went to some college and it was just all these real smart people. And it was like they was proper and I had tattoos and all this other stuff. And they were scared of me at the beginning because they thought I was like a gang member or something. But once they got to know me, they was like, yo, Reed, you the coolest dude here. You know what I mean? I started talking to, them and stuff like that. And they was like, yo, yeah, because I used to always talk down to myself. Even as an adult, I never believed in myself. It was hard to learn how to believe in myself. But long story short, as I talk down about myself, people always say, "Yo, this is the most inspiring story ever." Went to the military, same thing. You know what I mean? Like people always told me that, "Yo, you got an inspiring story." Or like, "Man, you went through all that." People were like, "Man, Reese, you too nice, man. You ain't never been through all that." So I think like God talked to me in pieces. You know what I mean? One time I went to church with my sister. I didn't even know I had a sister until I got older. Went to Florida and the pastor, he grabbed me up out of everybody in the church. He was like, God want me to tell you something. And he started praying on me. And I'm like, I didn't even believe in God at that point. But when he was talking and praying on me, my body was shaking, tears falling down. I'm like trying to stop it. Like, hold up, boy. Like, come on, man, you got this. What you crying for? I couldn't stop it. And he started saying all this stuff about life that nobody knew but me. Even my sister didn't even know it. So after it was done, what I mean, she was just like, "Oh, that was the God talking through him to get at you." And she was like, "Yo, that was just inspiring." And she was like, "You just helped so many people in the room." And sometimes it's just always uncomfortable because I never been a talker in life. I fought so much because I didn't know how to communicate. I didn't know how to open my mouth. If somebody said something disrespectful or something like that, I'm hitting you. And throughout life, man, that's just how it was. But now, as I get uncomfortable and just start talking more, people always saying, Reese, man, you're going to be something. And they start I start hearing it enough to the point where I start believing it. And right now, I'm on that journey. I'm still at the beginning of it. I don't even know what's happening. You know what I mean? I'm just moving and going on the journey. And right now, I just think like my gift is to help somebody else, and I don't even want nothing in return. You know what I mean? So I thought, my story was in. Like, I found out my story could help somebody when somebody started telling me it could. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you helping me, man. I'm taking notes, man. Believe it or not, and I know the viewers gonna take notes as well. And like I say, I'm gonna share it in the group. We got 150,000. So if
Oh,
you already got one with me. So I'm
I
sure
appreciate that, man.
thousands. Like man, just
I
looking for that
appreciate it
light. Now let me see. Now I can ask you this: why do you think so many people struggle to talk about mental health, especially men, black men?
because everybody care what somebody else think. You know what I mean? It don't matter if you like the toughest dude. It don't matter like people. They always say, "Man, I don't care what nobody else think," but they do. You know, I used to say it myself. I don't care what nobody think until I got to that point where I was about to take my own life. And then I know what pain is. I see it through, I see it. And a lot of people going through things. And like, a lot of my friends who I grew up with, we all was innocent at one point. When I left, a lot of them turned to another person. You know what I mean? The trenches turned them into different people. I ain't even know the people no more. And I'm like, yo, like, when I'm in Germany, I'm in castles. I'm like, castles real? You know what I mean? I seen the world, and I was like, if people, and I always thought about people in the hood because that's where I was from, my family and friends. I was like, man, if people see this, I said, yo, life will change. They'll change. I said they don't know nothing but the four corners, and I didn't know anything either. People like they come to me, like people call me, right, and they see what I talk a lot of positive stuff. Now they call me, and people be ready to take somebody's life, and they'll talk to me, and they'll be like, Reese, man, I needed that. Thank you, bro. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go in the crib and whatever. And I was like, man, yo, I'm glad I was able to do that. And it's like, yo, people don't know people don't know who to go to, who to talk to. Where is it a safe space? You know what I mean? So people don't want to talk about what they're going through because they think somebody going to judge them. You know what I mean? They don't know how to say it where it's like, because they don't even make sense to them sometimes. So it's like, how can I even tell you something like that? You ain't gonna understand it because sometimes I don't even understand it. So I think a lot of people are sometimes nervous, scared, of judgment, and they just going through it. And now they're not even stopping to be like, what's going on? You know what I mean? Some people like even me, I always been a good dude, but I'm like, I'm in the hood. I gotta show not to play with me. I felt like I had to do it, you know what I mean? And I'm like, it wasn't no talking with me. People like I just had to perform. And I'm like, I had to show people I wasn't soft. We was all just going through things, you know what I mean? We just needed somebody I needed guidance. I wish I had a mentor. I looked at the villains because my mom, she did what she could do. My dad was always in jail. Man, I looked at the people who got money and who was getting the women. That looked like that was the right thing to do. I started selling drugs and stuff at a young age, and I knew it wasn't me. You know what I mean? I just was like, this is what they doing to get money, and I'm too young to get a job. Like my mom need help, and man, it just people just scared, I guess, to face the truth. And when I used to sell drugs, I started getting unwanted attention because I blew up a little bit, and people start setting me up. People who I thought loved me. One time I was in school, my brother called me and said that, hey, they broke in the house. I'm like, did they get me? And he was like, yeah. I go in the house, it wasn't nothing touched but my room. So it was somebody who knew me. You know what I mean? Another time, somebody hit me up. I didn't know who phone they was calling from because my phone, I know everybody. It was an empty number. They wanted to meet up with me. Man, I don't know why I got in the car. It was two people, and one pulled a gun out on me. You know what I mean? And I was like, man, he about to kill me in here. So I was like, I can't give them my phone because this is my life right here. And I'm like, man, I'm gonna try to open this door. If it's closed, I'm done. If it's open, I'm out of here. I pop that door open. I start running zigzag. Thought you gonna start shooting. You ain't shoot. And it just start going down spiral. And instead of like getting help, we just fight fire with fire. So a lot of times, man, we just gotta sit back and we just gotta be like, yo, I need help. I need different people. I need a new environment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, that's real. Like you say, no environment. That's why I was thinking that land would be so dope, man. We could just get just a couple acres, and it's like you say, you do worry about what people think. You human, and men in particular. But it's like if we go to this place, like this our place, and then on top of that, everybody in here got a problem. Everybody in here going through something. So it ain't no way that we could sit around and not feed off each other, like you say, instead of fighting fire with fire. We can tell our stories, but get past the point to, okay, now what we gonna do about this, how we gonna work on this. And now you got like a fellowship, you got a group of brothers, you got a place to go. You know what I'm saying? We might not talk every
Community.
day or
Feel
every
safe.
week. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
And then let me see. And then, like you say, and also to add to that part, a lot of people never left their hometown. They never left their city. And like I'm from Cleveland, a lot of people from the east side, we don't even go to the west side of town, even in the
word.
same city. It is like another
Other side.
city.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And on where
So
you live,
just,
you can't even go certain places. This y'all part, and you know what I mean.
hmm
Somebody coming y'all part is a problem. You going somebody else part is a problem. You stay in your area. You know what I mean. You only, man, my city's so small, and still to this day, I need a GPS to get around. I don't even know how to. My family's still there. I moved away, but I'm about I'm far. Far enough to still close enough to still drive back when I need to. I mean, I got property out there too, so when I'm in the city, I'm like, man, I'm using GPS. My mom, my brother, yo, you still don't know how to get around train? I said, I never really went nowhere. I never went nowhere. For real.
yeah, yeah. You're right. You're right. All right, now this is my last question. For anybody that's listening, they kind of feel like they stuck, broken, or lost. Um, what would you say to them?
I would say if you stuck or lost, first find out like what you want to do, right, in life. Also figure out where are you stuck at and try to get around people that understand what you're trying to do or be around somebody who already done it because these are the people that can help you. Sometimes we want to get somewhere, but we hang around everybody who ain't doing nothing and we trying to get advice from people who ain't even doing it. You know what I mean? And they put their limited beliefs on you. You know what I mean? So in life, you can't get nowhere without taking risks. So I would say, you know, manageable risks, but you can't play it safe all the time. Safe comfort zone is not it. Everything I do is uncomfortable. And before I do it, it tear me up before I do it to try to get what I mean, the heart to do it. But once I do it, I'm like, man, it wasn't that bad. You gotta take action. You know what I mean? You gotta find peace. It's crazy. I never knew what peace was. You know what I mean? It. I never experienced it. So I would say if you stuck, man, get connected with somebody who genuine. You know what I mean? Break away from the people who not doing or not going with like the places where you want to go or do the things that you want to do. It's so easy to get caught up, what I mean, in the wrong energy. You gotta do something different. What I mean, it's gonna be uncomfortable. You may not like it. It like we talked about earlier, is a journey, and you gotta be willing to do it. Anybody that achieves something, it they did something that was uncomfortable for them. You know what I mean? I think that we just say, "Oh man, I want the world," but we ain't even willing to do nothing. You know what I mean? Put yourself in uncomfortable positions. When I came home and I was going through all this stuff, I was looking for good people, and magically I found like the real estate investors. I ain't never want to do no real estate. I ain't care about no investing, but I got around good energy, and I started seeing people who look like me do a whole bunch of things I never seen in my life, and just seeing it made me believe that I can do it because I was seeing it. I'm like, yo, I'm watching them. If I see it, I could do it. So if you stuck, it's because you're around the wrong people or you ain't got the right information. I invested in myself over the years, probably as much as a college degree. I got two college degrees, but the military paid for it. I've invested in myself though over the years and just start learning different knowledge, and I got it. You know what I mean? So knowledge is power, but applied knowledge is power. You know, you can get knowledge all day, but if you don't do nothing with it, it's nothing. So I would say if you stuck, man, get around different people, change your environment, learn something new. Life is a continuous journey of learning. And I thought back in the day I knew it all. But the more that I learn, I find out more that I don't know. So I'm like, man, I don't know nothing. I'm just a life learner. I'm continuing learning in life. So if you stuck, man, go get uncomfortable, go take some risks, go get around somebody that genuinely care about
Yeah, yeah, I would agree. Environment is critical, man. You gotta change the environment. You know, you gotta seek out positive people and positive things. That's been very, very life changing for me. You know what I'm saying? Because like I got a podcast.
you.
I be interviewing professors at Harvard and Yale. I be
Yeah.
interviewing astronauts and
Wow.
musicians and actors. You know, so you gotta, you know, like you say, step outside your comfort zone. You know, and try new things as well. If you only hang around people that you grew up with or your family, you only stay in your own neighborhood. You know, you're gonna miss out on so much in life, and you don't really know what you like or don't like till you try it. Especially if it's something noteworthy. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like, how
Yep.
many people in the hood go fishing or camping or hunting or,
Walk in nature.
stuff like that? Yeah,
That's peace. You don't know what peace is. I'm telling you, I walked in nature one time and I was like, oh, it's quiet. You know what I mean? I heard birds chirping, crickets. It felt so good. I just started walking in nature by myself. You know what I mean? Every day. I had like I was a loner. I isolated so much. I started finding who I was. I could never find out who I was because I was always around people who, and I felt like I had to perform or be somebody different because who I wanted to become wasn't really looked at as a, you know what I mean, as something that people wanted. You know, I was scared to be something else. I felt like I wasn't going to be real. I learned, growing up, if you change, you ain't real. So I always wanted to be the same, and I didn't want to step out my comfort zone. Man, change is the best thing that ever happened to me.
yeah, man. Now that you mentioned nature, I didn't say this earlier, but when I had bought some plots of land in Cleveland. So
Mm,
Cleveland is like, a lot of, I guess, urban areas. You know, you have houses, they become abandoned, people breaking them, steal the pipes out,
hmm.
and after a while they'll tear them down, and they had these empty lots. So you would go on the street, it might be 10 houses missing, and
Man,
then ultimately in them lots people would dump trash and weapons and
yeah.
bodies and everything else. So I bought like three of them, and then I
Mm,
started an urban garden, cleaned them out.
man,
I started a beehive. I got a chicken coop. I started
word.
growing fruits and vegetables. And the nature, like when you touching like leaves and soil, people call it grounding. You touch
Mm,
animals, um, it releases like a natural dopamine in your body because we get artificial dopamine, like we played a video game or we
mhm,
watch a movie or something like synthetic, plastic,
mhm,
rubber, steel. We in the house all day, we leave the house, we
mhm.
get in the car, we get out the car, we go in the office, we get out the office, we go to the grocery store. So we constantly inside, we outside of nature, but we animals, we mammals. When we was put on this earth, we was 100% in nature. Now we like 99% out of nature.
Mhm.
So I say that to say, when I had the experience of, having my own urban garden, like sometimes you would go to sleep and you might not sleep so well, and then you might wake up in a bad mood, and that
Yeah.
set the tone for your day. But by me having chickens, I wake up, I hear the chirping, so they like little babies. So I know I gotta go feed them. I gotta wake up. It's 7, 8. I go feed them. I go water the crops. I cut a couple leaves off. Turn the soil a little bit. Do what I gotta do. Then I gotta hit the beehive. I
Mm,
spend about 30 minutes. Put my bee suit on. Open up the boxes. Pull the slides out. And you know, with bees, people terrified of bees. One bee, everybody start running. So
Where?
imagine if you got 10,000 bees in front of you and they communicate, they make sounds. So, you know, you got to be careful with them because if you move them too fast or too hard, they make a sound like, you know, you got to slow down, bro. And then,
Yeah,
you know, yeah, so you taking your time and ultimately you focusing on making sure you do this right and do it properly. And 2 3 hours go by, the sun is rising, the fresh air blowing, you know, you feeling by the time you do that little 2 hours outside, your whole projection for your day done changed. You feel
word.
me?
Yeah, that's crazy. I only see that on TV, man. That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah, did it in the hood too, because I'm like,
Man.
you know, had to start somewhere. So yeah, man, it's been a phenomenal conversation. We an hour in, so I'm gonna end it. But before
Okay.
we get out of here, for the viewers, if they want to purchase the book, you know, they want to keep up with what you're doing, maybe even reach out to you. Do you have a website? Do you have social media? What's the best way for them to
I do
contact?
got social media. So on Facebook is Reese Bell, ReeseBell. And on Instagram is Reese, same thing, Reese Bell, then underscore YVR for your vet Reese. And then on TikTok, same thing, Reese Bell. So I'm on all platforms. And yeah. And if they want to find a book, if you go on my social media, you know what I mean, I got the links in my bios, or they could just reach out, and I'm always, I answer anytime. You know what I mean, I'm always in there. So, just holler at me, you know.
All right, man. It's definitely been a dope episode. I know the viewers gonna love this one. So, like I say, man, stay strong. I take my hat off to you and keep up the great work.
I appreciate you putting me on your platform, brother, and man, we'll be in touch. And I just want to say I truly appreciate it. It was an honor being on here.